Welcome to the Pharma Source podcast.
Today I'm joined by Stefan Randl, who took over as Chief Scientific Officer at Siegfried this past January. Stefan brings 16 years of experience from Evonik, where he led innovation management for healthcare, ran drug substance operations in the US, and headed sales and services across Asia. Today we'll be talking about what it means to inherit scientific leadership at one of Pharma's most integrated CDMOs, how Stefan's global perspective shapes his approach to innovation, and how scientific strategy shapes manufacturing decisions. Well, thank you for joining me, Stefan.
Thanks, Laura.
For those less familiar, what's Siegfried's story in a nutshell? So you're fully integrated from early stage research and development to commercial production with a 150-year Swiss heritage. How do you position that?
So Siegfried is a leading global CDMO for drug substances and drug products, so finished dosage forms. In terms of sales, we're well above the $1 billion mark. We have 1.3 billion of Swiss franc sales last year, have seen strong, sustainable organic and inorganic growth over the last 10 to 15 years. In terms of small molecule, we're globally number one. And while many see Siegfried still as a large commercial drug substance CDMO, in the meantime, our offering is much broader than this. We're offering end-to-end development, manufacturing services from preclinical stages all the way to commercialization, the off-patent time as well. The company is 152 years old. We have a long history behind us, 13 sites globally. Maybe two highlights, one on drug substance. We produce more than 200 out of the 1,500 FDA-approved APIs for a drug product. We have a capacity of more than 4 billion doses for oral solids and more than 200 million for sterile units. Have more than 500 customers, customer split, small, medium to large pharma, approximately 60-40. And scientific expertise and excellence are at the heart of what we do and what I believe we're also known for in the market.
You're number one in small molecules. That caught my attention. How do you measure that?
So in the end, it's about size that matters here. It's about capacity that you bring to the market, different sites, but also the size of the business, of course.
So you're obviously relatively new to your role and to Siegfried. What did you see in Siegfried's setup that made you think that was the right fit for where you wanted to take your career and contribute scientifically?
No, good question. Of course, it starts with the people. So first and foremost, it's the team, which I met. It's a highly experienced team. It's a humble team with a clear, unified mission. And this is something which I experienced very strongly during the interview process, and which is also what I've been seeing every day since I joined. It's also the potential. I think we're playing in the right segments. We're having a strong offering all the way from development to manufacturing. We spoke about it already. Number one on the small molecule side, seen strong growth in the drug product space. We have an attractive portfolio of technologies, global network of sites, well distributed across geographies. Pure play CDMO. So I'm happy to see that decisions are being taken quickly. Very strong customer mindset, which is rooted in the organization. All of this has led to an impressive growth in the past. Now obviously growth in the past is not necessarily a predictor of growth in the future, but through all my interactions, I'm feeling the ambition and the hunger in the company to grow further. And one key contributor to growth will be development excellence. We want to get better at where we are good already, and also build new technologies and platforms at the same time, so R&D can be a strong contributor to the growth in the future.
Siegfried's core value proposition is full integration, API through finished dosage form, all under one roof. But when customers can source APIs from Chinese CDMOs at a very low cost, how do you defend that integrated model? Where does that integration kind of create enough value to justify that premium in APIs?
And also very, very good question. It's obviously a model, that does not apply for all of our business and all of our customers or projects. In fact, and I guess it's not a surprise when I see that the majority of our business is not integrated. So the drug substance and drug product are separated, which can have, of course, many reasons. This can be cost, can be technology driven. For example, Siegfried very active in the fill finish space for biologics, but not active in the drug substance space. This can have capacity reasons of risk diversification for the pharma company. They may also produce one of the two drug substance or drug product themselves, plus also many others. On the other hand, I have to say I was positively surprised when I joined the company, when I saw the number of examples, that we're having and that we continue to get, where we combine and integrate both drug substance and drug product. And also there, different reasons, couple of reasons why pharma companies want drug substance and drug product out of one hand. One is speed, especially during development. Running drug substance and drug product out of one hand, out of one CDMO, allows for easier coordination between the two. So you lose or you minimize the loss of time during the two. Normally, when you plan with two different CDMOs for drug substance and drug product, you have to build a buffer between the campaigns in order to account for delays. Otherwise, there's the risk of penalties if the drug substance CDMO delivers the product late to the drug product CDMO, and this is obviously not the case when you work with one CDMO only. You have the supply chain aspect, simplified logistics. The CDMO takes full control of the drug substance logistics, which also spans then throughout the entire life cycle of the drug. And it also is easier for the pharma company when you work with one partner when it comes to quality. You have one quality agreement, unified documentation, deviation, change management. And there's also the need to negotiate only one agreement, commercial agreement, development agreement, commercial supply agreement with one partner, which makes things easier as well. And if you allow me one technical comment towards the end, my role as a scientist, also technical reasons can be the driver. Drug substances are becoming more and more complex, and drug substance process parameters can impact more directly the formulation and the drug product production process. And this is also why bridging technologies such as micronization, spray drying at the interface between drug substance and drug product are becoming more important. And there may be, again, this interdependency between the two. And in these cases, it's easier when one CDMO takes care of both processes.
I guess what you said about it increases speed, that obviously has a direct impact on cost as well. The quicker that development time, the lower the cost and the quicker to market. Let's go back to the science. Let's touch on it a bit. You have a PhD in organic chemistry. With all the focus currently on modalities and platforms, how much does fundamental process chemistry still drive competitive advantage for a CDMO?
You say it rightly. It's actually very, very impressive. When you look at the number of new modalities which are continuously emerging and growing. That said, the number of small molecule drugs and drug candidates, still remains to be very high. Around 70% of the drugs approved by the FDA in the recent years are still small molecules. But those molecules are getting more and more complex. So the target receptors, which are previously considered undruggable, are now targeted and are now being bound by the small molecules. And for this, you need higher molecular masses, more complex structures. At the same time, spoke about it, time pressure is increasing. So fundamental chemistry is still very important. You need to develop routes, processes of these more complex molecules more quickly, more efficiently. And efficiency, by the way, most of the time also goes hand in hand with sustainabilities. The sustainability in CDMOs are the scope 3 emissions for the pharmaceutical industry. Small molecules contribute significantly to those scope 3 emissions. And now that the focus is shifting a bit in terms of sustainability from scope 1 and 2 more towards scope 3, where there's also the majority of emissions, scope 3 targets are getting closer and closer. So good process and manufacturing capabilities will be key. That said, fundamental process chemistry alone is no longer the whole story. It is absolutely still the foundation, but there's more to it. Process chemistry will need to be connected nowadays in modern process chemistry with engineering solutions, digital tools, data generation, data utilization, and ideally you perform it end to end, starting from early phases all the way to commercialization. And the CDMOs which are able to apply and to leverage this combination, this basket, to the full extent, will in the end have the competitive advantage.
Let's talk about Scope 3, like you mentioned. Obviously, Scope 3 accounts for a huge majority of Pharma's overall environmental impact. When a customer comes to you wanting better yield, lower cost, and environmental impact, what's the actual path to making all three happen, or is there kind of always a trade-off?
The good thing with sustainability is that sustainability and cost savings most of the time go hand in hand. I mean, so there may be exceptions, for example, when it comes to solvent choices. I don't want to be too chemical now, but some very good solvents such as DMF, dimethylformamide, is critical. So super good solvent, but very critical from a sustainability perspective. You may also have reagents which are leading to very efficient processes and which are toxic and which should be avoided from a sustainability perspective. But in the vast majority of cases, the more efficient, the shorter, the higher yielding, the cheaper the processes are, the higher the sustainability is as well. And this brings me also back, to your earlier question, Dora. Excellence in process chemistry, understanding scale-up challenges is a differentiator also from a sustainability perspective. And ideally, this starts very early on in preclinical, in phase 1, because fundamental changes to the process later on will be difficult. It's difficult during development times because there's the pressure on timelines, and it's also difficult after commercialization due to the regulatory hurdles. Actually, one point which I would like to make, because it's actually pretty near and dear to my heart, and that's about solvents. Solvents are one of the biggest contributors to Scope 3 emissions, and recycling solvents as much as possible would really be a game changer in the industry. At the moment, it's difficult because there's, I would say, a lack of willingness to accept changes post-approval. And I understand the customers here in the pharma industry fully, because it comes with a lot of regulatory hurdles. And I'm hopeful that this mindset and the regulatory hurdles are going to decrease over time. But as long as this is not the case, what you need early on in the process is chemistry excellence, generating the required data early on, which allow you to recycle the solvents later in the process, starting from the development phase.
Finding processes and ways you can recycle solvents, is that something you're actively working on developing with partners, or kind of something you're just thinking about?
No, it is something that we're actively tackling in all of the development projects that we're discussing in the partners wherever time allows for it. We're actively working on it. Of course, also working on the processes also which have been commercialized, sometimes with the drawbacks, with regulatory hurdles that I was speaking about. But we do have goals to reduce our waste significantly by 2030, and solvent recycling is one of the key drivers. And if we don't start now, we won't be successful in a few years from now.
Drug substances account for a majority of Siegfried's revenue. From your vantage point as newly appointed CSO, is that where you want it to be strategically, or is there a push to kind of rebalance towards drug products? What's kind of driving these decisions?
So we're not actively striving for 50-50 or any defined ratio between the two. What is important for us is that we have critical size in both. And what we want to do is offer a broad and reasonably comprehensive technology portfolio in both our clients to be attractive, in both our clusters, in order to be attractive for our clients. And drug substance, small molecules, is for us still a very attractive place to be. With a global leader, talked about it. That said, being a global leader, we only have 2% approximately of the market share. So very fragmented industry. At the same time, the growth for small molecules is still healthy, well above 5%. So we see a lot of opportunities to grow further in that space. One aspect is that we're actively working to widen the funnel, both for drug substance and drug product. We're investing into new technologies, flow chemistry, one example on on the drug substance side, but also specifically into technologies which are at the interface of drug substance and drug product, micronization, spray drying. So they will be attractive for both areas and help us then also fully offer the integrated value chain. Also moving towards earlier stages, we've had the acquisition of an earlier phase site in Grafton, Wisconsin last year, which also helps us to widen the funnel and help our clients with respect to acceleration. At the same time, drug substance for us is not only small molecules anymore. We're also active, for example, in viral vectors, which is an area where we've had an acquisition quite recently, and we're further investing in that space with a fully GMP qualified manufacturing area, and also other modalities in principle are interesting for us. I guess what I want to say is that we are open, we're agnostic. What is important for us, the underlying driver behind the initiatives and the activities that we're having, is the attractiveness of the market, and is that Siegfried is able to offer added value and a competitive advantage to our clients through development, but also through operational excellence. So just offering capacity nowadays is not enough anymore.
So working with clients kind of as a strategic partner, rather than just providing the capacity, really helping them to move their product forward. What does that look like? How do you view those sort of transactional relationships versus strategic?
Yeah, I mean, everybody talks about strategic partnerships, but what is it in the end? Yeah. I think it all starts with reliability and quality. I mean, OTIF is the name of the game. On time and full is what our clients are asking us for, and what we are being held liable against. I mean, this is our license to do business. It's why companies, pharma companies, are making business with CDMOs like Siegfried. Also, if you think about what is at stake when you have supply interruptions, for example, at peak sale, what is at stake for the patients? What is at stake in terms of financials? There's no contract, I mean, which can cover all those liabilities. So to your question, I mean, what does a partnership look like? A genuine partnership, a strategic partnership look like nowadays? Time pressure. So what we're seeing at the moment is that the processes that we're receiving from our clients are not as well developed as before. So what that means very often is that the processes are being handed over when our clients are still working on them. So what happens is that both our clients and ourselves are working in the lab hand in hand. And this, of course, works best. I mean, when you have, of course, I mean, well-aligned communication, but also in case you have comparable equipment, you have digital tools and platforms for data sharing, utilization, when you know each other well, and when you're really able to work hand in hand during this development phase and when the heat is on. Another aspect that I see also in line with this increasing time pressure is that some of our clients are providing us with early stage forecasts of their CMC work. So that allows us in return to prospectively plan our resources in the R&D analytical development side, but also in our pilot plans, knowing that there will most likely be changes down the road. And this all comes to this aspect of risk management. So risk-based decisions will have to be taken more and more when time is of the essence. This can be as extreme as investments. I mean, when you want to do an investment, not knowing if the drug candidate will be successful, planned reservations, and you reserve your plans knowing, I mean, the timeline may shift, that the equipment which you reserve may shift, and all of this works best when you really have that strategic and long-term relationship trust between partners, between pharma company and CDMO. And once this trust is established, and once you know, I mean, sometimes you lose, sometimes you win, and this is okay for both parties. I mean, this is extremely powerful in daily operations, and another booster for acceleration, which in the end then really truly benefits both sides.
On the topic of risk that you mentioned earlier, Siegfried played a huge part in manufacturing COVID vaccines. Obviously, that revenue sort of phased out last year. From a scientific leadership perspective, how do you manage portfolio volatility when a major program like that disappears? What's the scientific capability you can build that outlasts any single product?
Yeah, I think first of all, absolutely. Yeah. So first of all, I think it's good that we're not talking about COVID anymore.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And the COVID vaccines were an attractive business opportunity for us, and of course also life-saving at the same time. And I think what happened for Siegfried, and I'm speaking a bit on behalf of colleagues and what I've been told because I was not in the company at that time myself. So we evaluated a couple of different vaccine candidates at that point, and in the end, we're fortunate enough, to pick the right candidates. And those projects were, of course, were very complex due to the high speed which was required. CapEx was needed, resources had to be built up, people had to be skilled up. And you had to coordinate all of this at the same time. At the same time, we also were dealing with a new modality, with mRNA, with a complex biologic. So what we were also able during that time is to learn a lot, which we are still profiting from today and also in the future. But yes, I mean the revenues have phased out, and this is when our large and broad product and also customer portfolio, that we're having is helping us. To put things into perspective, the largest product or project that we have accounts for 6% of our sales, and if you add products 2 to 10, then you add another 30. So I think it's pretty well balanced. And in the end, what is helping us to attract clients to continue winning new business is the differentiation. So in the drug substance world, we have a large network of sites, reactor sizes, technologies. Again, we said capacity is not enough. If you're not able to deploy capacity when needed, and if you're not able to offer technologies that your clients are asking for, you won't be successful. So what is important for us always is to have some degree of capacity available, especially in our pilot plants, in order to be able to flexibly react to client requests, and also have the scientific excellence and the scale-up mindset, the training, the experience of the people to be quick and efficient when the customer calls. We're also, of course, always looking into new technologies to broaden our offering, investing into particle technology, flow chemistry. I think I've mentioned pre-filled syringes, cartridges. But in the end, it's not a single technology or capability that sticks out. It's the scientific mindset, development excellence, later on then the operational excellence, and of course the customer orientation, which are the key factors for us to win clients, and once we've won clients, also keep them and qualify for new business with them.
How do you manage that diversity, that balance between breadth of offerings but also maintaining technical depth?
In the end, it is still focus. We can't play everywhere. We need to pick the battles where we want to be successful. We also differentiate between technologies. When we speak about new technologies which are closer to what we're able to do already, and these are general then areas for organic growth. So when we hire additional people, skill up the people in order to build the equipment, in order to build it organically. On the other hand, if we see that certain technologies are too far away from us, if the market, for example, is too far developed already, takes too long a time in order to catch up, then we're looking at inorganic growth. And in the end, it's the balance between this organic and inorganic growth. What can you build up, and what is close enough, and where you need to get to go external is important. So knowing your competencies, knowing what you can do and what you also cannot do. I think this is important for the R&D strategy going forward.
I thought it was interesting how you mentioned the balance of strategy and then also having the flexibility to grasp the opportunities that arise. My second question around sort of risk is more about geographies. Siegfried is heavily European, with 13 sites across 7 countries. In a world where pharma is increasingly demanding regional supply chains due to geopolitical risk, notably, obviously, Trump's reshoring, nearshoring tariff situation. Do you have plans to adjust or expand your footprint to maintain supply security?
So yes, and you said we have 13 sites, which are located globally across 3 continents. So I think we do offer a fair share of regionalization already. And what we can also do for most of the technologies in drug substance more, but also to a very large extent in drug product, is offer multiple supply points for our clients. So from more than one site. So I mentioned in the beginning, growth is part of the DNA of the company. So expanding our footprint is an integral part of our strategy. We do this same as in R&D, both organically, and we've just invested, for example, into a large-scale plant in our Minden site in Germany with 100 cubic meter of capacity. We're in the final stages and in the process of commissioning and startup. Another example is a commercial manufacturing facility for the viral vectors in Schlieren, close to Zurich. And also we're investing in sterile ointments and eye drops in Barcelona, just to mention a few. At the same time, we are constantly also looking for inorganic growth. I did mention the acquisition of the Grafton, Wisconsin site. So in the geography that you were just referring to in the US, it's an early stage development site, which is also very attractive for us because it really helps us to widen the funnel and be in the market where the clients, especially small biotechs, are for when it comes to early development. So yes, we're working on our footprint, and we're also looking at the US, and also the US is going to be attractive for us. But I would say geography is not the only driver for us. So also technical fit, competencies, how does it fit into the strategy is just as important.
Let's talk about hot topics at the moment. AI and machine learning are everywhere in pharma R&D conversations. As CSO of a major CDMO focused on manufacturing, where do you think computational tools could actually create value in process development versus where it's still kind of too nascent to actually have a real benefit?
Very good question. And AI will have an increasing role. But that said, so the human will always be an important factor and will not become obsolete. So when it comes to chemistry, for example, designing the right route, choosing the right reagents, choosing the right technologies, this will always require great science, great chemists, great engineers. And for a long time already, so when I did my studies 20, 30 years ago, chemical reaction databases have been helping chemists pick the right routes, and those tools are getting better, and AI is actually playing a big role in that already. But in the end, there will still have to be the chemist making the call for the route, for the process, and this will also not change. What will change, though, and where also AI and machine learning will play an increasingly large role, is the speed and the efficiency with which we will be able to understand reactions, with which we'll be able to understand processes. So quality by design also has been something which has been being used a lot. It's of course the foundation of every process development today. We're moving toward DOE, design of experiments, statistical planning of experiments, PAT, process analytical technology, continuously monitoring your reaction. They are at the core of QBD, and all of these tools, this toolbox helps you to run as few experiments as possible, ideally data-rich experiments, and then you help map and understand the design space quickly. You build your in silico models. And a lot of progress has been made in that field in the past years. And AI, agentic AI, so using AI as an agent, as a decision maker, will further accelerate the process. And I think we're not too far away from AI virtually running or planning experiments autonomously. AI will also help to build the digital twin out of those in silico models and the real world data, which will make upscale more reliable. Once you upscale, AI will be helpful. So the iterative process between real world and your model will help you to move closer and closer, more quickly to the perfect batch, to the golden batch, which of course, will also require the necessary prerequisites in production, because you need to be able to record the data in production, to utilize the data in production. So you also need to build up hardware at the same time. And once you're really there, I mean, then you can also use AI. So once you have defined your golden batch, you can even use AI in a perfect world to do preventative maintenance, because I mean, you are able to find out quickly when your reaction is not running according to norm, and you know there must be something wrong in your plant. I mean, so many areas in which AI and machine learning will help. But again, I mean, chemists and engineers and experts as humans will still be important until the very end.
So are there any ways that Siegfried is currently implementing AI processes into your manufacturing processes, or is it all a bit kind of future forward?
So where we are already fairly advanced, I would say, is really in the development space. We're very quick to build our models. All our chemists and engineers are really trained in digital tools, in DOE. So I think where some work still remains to be done, and I guess, I mean, that's pretty much across the industry, is being able to utilize the data, to generate the data in production, utilize the data in production. I mean, to have that perfect iteration between the lab model and your upscale model in order to continuously improve your process. So there is so we are doing good steps there, but there's also some way to go still.
As a final note, if you look at the industry as a whole, and it's obviously facing a lot of uncertainty right now, but what is one scientific challenge you think the industry is maybe underestimating?
For me, it is really this acceleration. I mean, of the timelines, which is needed for many reasons, also for cost reasons. I mean, the pharmaceutical industry is getting under more financial pressure as well. Of course, also from the patients, but also financial pressure to reduce prices and reduce prices. I mean, so accelerated development timelines, increasing the patent lifetime of your drug once it comes to the market, that will be key. And this will also come at a time when I think more and more drug candidates are going to be pushed through the clinics. Because I mean, we talked a lot about AI when it comes to development, when it comes to manufacturing, but I think where AI may even have a much larger impact, and where we see that impact already, is in the drug discovery. So I mean, AI is able to design molecules much faster, much more reliably. So what you will see faster output, higher quality output, more output in general of drug candidates. And in the end, what this will do, this will increase the pressure on the manufacturing industry. Because you cannot build up manufacturing capacity as fast as the number of molecules increase coming out of the drug discovery phase. So what in the end will be key is to make use of your existing manufacturing capacity as much as possible. And there also AI, I think, can play a big role. We've spoken about continuous improvement. So the processes that you run already, making sure you run them as quickly as possible to compress time, have more time for other processes, reducing changeovers, setup, clean down times. I mean, very often they're quite lengthy, cost a lot of the production time, optimizing the sequence. I mean, in how with which you run the products in a multi-purpose plant. Of course, development, operation excellence. We spoke about this. So I think that there's a lot happening and has to happen in that area in order to make more capacity available, which will be needed. I'm convinced down the road.
Well, Stefan, thank you for taking the time out of your day to talk to me today. I appreciate it.